if somebody were to start you on testosterone, they'd be putting their job at risk.
So my suggestion for you is going to be testosterone recipient 8.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the TRT series. If you've been following along on the channel, you'll know that I've been on a bit of a mission to understand if testosterone replacement therapy could help me in terms of mood, energy levels, putting on size and strength, and also my rate of recovery. It's been quite a journey getting to this point. If you don't know me, then my name's Will. I'm 42 years old. I am one half of Garage Built Athlete. My intention really is to be a good role model to my kids with my health and my fitness. I enjoy working out, want to do it every day, find that it helps my physical and mental health. And by creating some of these videos, I just want to be able to help people have a conversation about testosterone. And if it helps one person, then I think I've done my job. In the last video, I'd come back from the endocrinologist,
and he said that when he saw the numbers from my results, he said that is not what he would class as low testosterone.
And if you haven't checked out the series so far, head back on the channel, get yourself subscribed, get up to date with the video series. The endocrinologist was telling me by looking at me that I didn't have low testosterone. He asked me to get some more tests done. I feel like I've been a bit of a pincushion with blood tests over this whole thing. But one thing you need to know about me is that I am quite a cautious person. I don't just dive headfirst into these sorts of decisions, and it was really important for me to do the research and unpack some of the routes that you can take, so the NHS, the private route, and also the maybe not so legitimate route as well. In this video, I'm going to get you bang up to speed with what I've been doing since then. It's been a little while and a few things have happened, but thanks for coming along, thanks for watching. So I feel like I'm really in the middle of a bit of a medical war zone, for want of a better word. I have a few different routes and a few different sources telling me slightly different things, which is just confusing and overall not helping me move forwards with a decision. It feels like I'm easier just to sack it all off and forget about it, but when I think like that, I have to remember what the reason I started looking into it is. I feel like I could be better, stronger, have more energy, recover faster, and improve mood. And these are the kinds of things that testosterone replacement therapy are known for helping with. So on one hand, I have Manual, the private company, telling me I'm a candidate for testosterone replacement therapy.
So my suggestion for you is going to be testosterone recipient 8. That's our gold standard form of testosterone. Very easy to inject. We get really great results.
On the other, I've got an endocrinologist who's a hormone specialist, expert, professor in the field, telling me that I don't need it.
Testosterone was actually pretty high at 17.4, so there's no evidence that you've got a low testosterone at all.
I've done my due diligence and I've explored different areas and elements of this whole process. And I want to share with you a couple of really key moments. Rather than laying absolutely everything out and bombarding you with detail, I'm going to highlight some of the things that I've taken away. After getting my bloods done with the endocrinologist, I jumped on to a webinar with Manual, with a TRT advisor, not a doctor, but an employed person from Manual who was on the therapy themselves and ran through a presentation about symptoms of low testosterone, the benefits, their own experience, the costs, and gave an option for Q&A and next steps. Now, this consultant described some of the symptoms that I'm feeling in terms of the reasons why you might look at testosterone replacement therapy, and then they shared their journey as well.
For a lot of people, time frame wise, by around about 3 months, we should start to feel some good benefits. However, some people take a lot longer. Now, for me personally, at 3 months, some benefits, but in all honesty, nothing like I wanted or expected, pretty disappointed. But this is where the first mandatory blood test comes into play with the doctors. And what they found for myself was I was injecting, testosterone was going up, yay, brilliant. But the issue for me is we also had rising estradiol levels. Now, though I wasn't having the symptoms like low mood or mood changes or that kind of gynecomastia, like breast tissue form or anything like that with the rising estrogen, what the doctors were worried about was that masking a lot of the benefits I should be feeling. So a plan was put in place for me to move from twice-a-week injections to more injections of 3 times a week with a slightly lower testosterone dose. The idea was that less goes in, less chance of the testosterone to aromatize, less chance the estrogen to spike, could control it better. What we found is when I approached my 6-month test, I started to feel more benefits, and we found that testosterone had still stayed in a good place, but estrogen much better, and I was starting to get some better benefits and much more consistent as well.
And that's a slight difference to other people's stories that I've been hearing around. They started to feel benefits within a matter of weeks. So it was good to hear and understand someone else's experience. He also talked through the costs that are involved.
Price-wise, as you can see from the table, each medication has a different price, and it's all done in a monthly direct debit. So what we get in our monthly cost is medication, the delivery of the medication, supplies like needles, swabs, and sharp spins for going down the injection route. It also includes all of our blood work.
They also talked through the NHS route and how on the NHS they measure testosterone levels and the need for therapy differently.
With the NHS, it's really black and white. Effectively, if you've got any result of above about 8 nanomoles per litre, you'll find not really too much else to talk about, normal levels.
After that webinar, I decided that I did want to go ahead and get a consultation with the manual doctor to talk through my blood test and the results with them and understand what a course of treatment could be for me. That again came at a cost. I'm pushing my money into this product and this service to really try and understand what's going on and help unpack it for other people. One thing I did find out was if you are going through the process with manual, and if you just wait a little bit and delay a little bit in certain pinch points, like after an enhanced blood test and before booking your consultation, you will get sent offers for money off. So rather than paying something like £80 for the consultation, it ended up being around 55. It's still money to shell out, but it helps. I went ahead and had my consultation with the doctor. It was really interesting to have them do a deep dive on my medical history, how I was feeling, and talk me through and really try and understand what benefits I might experience and if I was eligible for TRT.
Great, and I'm just going to ask you some more questions about the symptoms. Have you noticed things like brain fog, where your mental clarity isn't as good as it used to be? Focus, concentration, you've got to work harder at?
Well, yeah, in short, in terms of focus and concentration, I have to be really very disciplined to stay focused. And I kind of put that down to maybe social media and smartphones are scrambling my brain a bit, but never really thought, well, actually, I wonder if it's anything to do with hormone levels and things like that. So I put things in place for myself to be more productive and be more focused. And I work quite hard on maintaining that. It doesn't come very naturally to me. I expected it more to be a little bit more salesy and a little bit more pushing towards the treatment, but there was hesitation in there. The hesitation specifically was around my liver function. My blood test with them showed a raised level in terms of the ALT, which was double the normal range.
Your creatinine is a little bit raised, but you take creatine supplements, so that will explain that. I'm not worried about that. Your eGFR, which is the filtration rate of the kidney, is 74, which is fine. Your ALT, did you exercise before this blood test? Well, just before the blood test. Slight increase in ALT can be because of exercise. Your one was, nearly double, so worth letting with you. Keep up a look at it.
If it wasn't exercise, then what would you be saying to me?
Other common reasons can be alcohol, which you're not drinking too much of, and the other common thing can be what we call fatty liver, fat deposits getting stored in the liver. So again, I'd be telling you to see your GP, because if we don't know what's going on there, that's the whole point. You still need to look into that burner.
And also my cholesterol was slightly high.
So your LDL cholesterol, which is what we call the bad cholesterol, it's just a little bit above where I want it to be.
They also asked me to get my liver function checked with the GP before they would go any further. Some of the conflict and the tension in that call from the doctor was my blood tests hadn't been done at the ideal time of day to get a really accurate reading of my testosterone levels.
Testosterone levels vary throughout the day, and they're highest first thing in the morning, and then they diminish as the day goes on. So it is important when we're diagnosing men with low testosterone. We need to look at it at the right time because it does vary throughout the day. Okay, let me just have a little think about that again. So
the doctor saw that I hadn't done my blood test first thing in the morning. I think I had a 6 p.m. test and maybe a 1 p.m. test. And they wanted me to send them the results from the endocrinologist so that they could review that blood test alongside the test they'd already taken. And I was happy to do that because it involved me not having to have yet another blood test, and I knew it was done at the right time of day. There was hesitation from the manual doctor to go, yeah, based on your results, I can see you've got low testosterone, so let's put you on a plan. But they were willing to make an exception on that. I took the call through to completion, and they recommended a protocol for me based on if I was to go ahead with good liver function and low testosterone results early in the morning.
So my suggestion for you is going to be testosterone recipient 8. That's our gold standard form of testosterone. Really easy to inject whenever you grow results. The dose for you would be 0.2 mils twice a week injected subcutaneously, so it's the belly area. And then alongside that would be a tablet called Clomid, and you would be taking half a tablet, which is 25 milligrams, every other day. And Clomid is medication that keeps your body making some of its own testosterone in the background. And with that, that helps to maintain the size of the testes, because without medications like that, testes essentially not got a job anymore, and they tend to shrink in size.
What's the costs of that?
Yeah, so that costs £139 a month, and it's a subscription model, so that includes everything you need, all your medications, needles, syringes, doctors, appointments, blood tests, everything is included.
And when I got off that call, I'd committed to sending the results through from the endocrinologist, which I did. So that's where I left it on that call. The notes were shared with my GP, who then got in touch with me to book in a blood test to get that liver checked. Interestingly, in between those times, I have had countless emails from Manual offering me treatment, offering me discounts on treatment as well from different advisors in Manual. And I've had to go back to them and say, hold on, I'm not going ahead because your doctor has asked me to get my liver function checked and I'm waiting for those results. I had a call booked in with the endocrinologist to talk me through my results from my blood test.
Testosterone was actually pretty high at 17.4, so there's no evidence that you've got a low testosterone at all.
Okay.
So, because it was done at the right time in a proper laboratory, as I mentioned the other day, but all of your other hormones, all spot on, no problem, nothing to suggest why you feel the way you feel.
So that second opinion from that professor and that test really threw off the journey and the path that I was going down. And I'm glad it did, but more than just the morning results showing that I had an optimal level of testosterone, it was the warning that the professor gave me on the call which really stands out to me.
If somebody were to start you on testosterone, they'd be putting their job at risk. The reason is because testosterone is not a benign drug. It actually has lots of side effects. And if somebody were to put you onto testosterone and you were to develop a side effect such that you had a stroke or a heart attack or something bad happened to you, because that's what would happen, and you went back and said, why did you give me testosterone? That's their job. They say you need testosterone, you need to go somewhere else. They would be lying to you and doing you harm.
So he wasn't just disagreeing with the Manual route. Effectively, he was saying it was malpractice. I sent my endocrinologist test results back to the Manual doctor, and they asked for me to do one more finger prick test pre 9 a.m. to calibrate all these results. And I did that. And I sent it off, and once again, that finger prick test showed that I had low testosterone. And at this point, I'm thinking, who do I believe? Who do I trust? The Manual doctor also picked out a point that my free testosterone levels weren't measured in the endocrinologist blood test. So there's a lack of consistency across what's being tested across these different professions. The good news health-wise is that I did go to the GP and get that blood test done to check my liver function. And the good news is that everything that they tested for has come back normal. Liver function tests satisfactory, no further action. Bone profile, AST serum levels, full blood count, urea and electrolytes, everything spot on. So I've sent that back to manual, and that was one concern the doctor there had, was that if my liver wasn't functioning correctly, then that would be something which could make me ineligible for TRT. Now, one thing that I haven't shared with you just yet is that in between some of these calls, I was just in the supermarket doing my shop, and I bumped into a friend from the gym who administers their own testosterone replacement therapy, for want of a better word. And they talked to me about how much they pay for a bottle, offered me a bottle of testosterone for £25. Now, being the cautious person that I am, I didn't hand over the money and take that, but it got me thinking. It's quite a stark comparison between £139 a month with manual, with support of doctors and blood tests and consultations, versus quite an attractive price point. However, it's like flying blind. Very aware of the risks having gone through this process and some of the negative impact that it can have on me. And I feel very uneasy just to start administering it myself without having that deeper understanding of what's going on in my body. That being said, my friends who do that, which I have a few now, all are claiming that they are getting great benefits and they're feeling good. So there's a real pull to that compared to this route. That's the update. That's where I'm at, and that's the story so far. I'm no doubt I'm going to get an email back from Manual saying, great, let's go ahead. They were a little bit fussy about how they received the results from the GP, and I had to do a little bit of jumping through hoops to get that over to them. I'll be keen to see what they're suggesting next. If you've got any experience with this, drop a comment below. Be really interested to hear from you and understand the route that you've taken. If you're using Manual, if you're using the NHS, if you're using your mate from the gym, how has that been for you? What benefits are you seeing? What negatives are you seeing? And let's start a conversation. Thanks for watching the video today. Really appreciate you being here. If you aren't already subscribed, do consider subscribing to the channel for more Garage Built Athlete content. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. That's it from me for now. See ya!